Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Live Strong podcast. If you are new here, my name's Olivia, and I am the founder and head coach of Live Strong, which is a small group and personal training gym in Newcastle, New South Wales. This podcast, guys, is all about living your healthiest, best balanced life ever, infused with a bit of chaos from my own life. So let's get into it. Yeah, let's get into it. Woo! Hi, guys. Hope you're having a fabulous week this week. Again, the year is just flying by. Can you believe that we are already in September? Wow. Hello, spring. Hello, September. We're going to be in summer, honestly, before we know it. We're going to blink and we're going to be there, which is insane. But it's really feeling like our weather here in Newcastle has turned a leaf, which is such a slay because I swear it's literally rained for like 20 weeks straight. So touch wood, let's hope this nice weather hangs for a bit longer, and hopefully that's putting you guys in a good mood, because I feel like I know the weather shouldn't affect your mood too much, but we all know it does. It really does, doesn't it? Now, we're getting into a big topic today, I guess, or like a relevant topic for a lot of people, and we're going to be talking about committing to a goal, and sort of like what it takes, why do it, and what happens when you fail, when you commit. So we're going to talk about that later, but let's get into my highs and my lows of this week. Now, my high for this week is that, guys, I ran 18 kilometers this week nonstop. The longest I've ever ran in my whole life. The furthest I'd run prior to that was 14, which I've done 3 times. I've done 2 times at City to Surf, and then we did it the week before. Like me and the girls I'm running with, we did 14 then, and then we did 18, which was so good. It was actually so fun. I wouldn't say it was like super challenging, not because I'm an amazing runner, because we just took it like quite slow at a pace that we could sustain, and we probably could sustain for another 5Ks or so. But I've never had that many kilometers under my feet, so my legs, I wouldn't say felt heavy, but like my feet were getting sore, like my actual foot in my shoe, like pressure points, and I was just getting a bit over it as well. So that was sort of the last like 2Ks. I was like, oh, let's just wrap this bad boy up. But yeah, I was super proud of myself, super impressed. I'm not going for super pacey times anyway, so that was my big slay. And then my low for this previous week is that probably the same as last week, guys. I'm just in a bit of like a busy work period, and I'm drowning, and I'm trying to swim to the top to get some air. But this week we have our Live Strong Games, and I've got like a very big business change happening next week as well. And once those things have sort of happened, I feel like I will just be absolutely floating at the top of the ocean. I won't be going under at all. So it's just sort of survival mode of these next few days. And I guess I make that sound quite negative, but not in a way that I'm like, oh my God, I hate this so much. But it's okay to have times that are hard and you're grinding and you're just having to make it work. But that doesn't mean that, we don't appreciate these times, or we don't appreciate the good times as well if we don't have those times that are harder as well. So especially in business, it's sort of a blessing to be super busy. But then if I was run off my feet like this, like every week, I would just burn out so fast and be super uninspired, and everyone would hate me because I'd just be walking around like a zombie. So you've got to have those peaks and flows. But I think that's probably my low for this week, is that I'm just on the serious grind. This podcast nearly wasn't going to happen this week, and I was like, come on, get off your desk, go do it, get it up, like, on the to-dos. So that's her. And then my recommendation, guys, again, haven't thought of one. What's my recommendation? One, I literally had to like pause because I was like, my brain is empty. But a bit of a rogue one. My recommendation is to follow a sport with a group of friends. Now, that's like very vague, but The NRL season is coming to an end in Australia. Not that anyone watches this overseas, lol. But this year, myself, my sister, her partner, and some friends, so a group of us all got season passes to watch the Knights, which obviously are our local team in Newcastle. And like I've never really been a big footy gal because I come from a girl household where we danced and did aerobics. We didn't do any sort of ball, or we did netball like for a long time, but no football. So we didn't follow it. And then when I've been with Nathan like nearly 10 years now, and so he's always semi-followed it. He played footy when he was younger, but like never super committed to football. Like he played a lot of other sports. So again, it wasn't like his main sport, so I wasn't like super invested. But the past like 3 years, we've really got into it. This year, we committed to season passes. And it's honestly been such a fun little weekend adventure for us. It's super cheap in the sense that you buy your tickets, like girl math, you buy your season pass and then you don't have to buy tickets again. So essentially it's like a free weekend activity to do with your friends. And like we watch the football, like we're quite into it now, quite into the team, even though they're fucking shit this year. Next year might be better year, but we'll see. But like, yeah, so we are watching it, but we also just go and have a chat, have a laugh, have a good time. We have dinner afterwards or whatever time they're playing. And that just reminded me because this week's the last game and we're just doing like a bit of a friend catch up just to watch the football together. But I'm like, it's a really good opportunity just to get your friends together. So I don't know, this might inspire someone to do that as well. But I've raved on too much now about the Mighty Knights who are the second spooners, we can call them. But anyway, guys, let's get into today's episode because we're not going to be rambling today. We're going to be precise and to the point, and we're talking about committing to a goal. Now, we are staying somewhat specific to health and fitness. This topic came up because one, we have the Live Strong Games on this weekend. So like a lot of people in the gym have really committed to a goal with training for this event and then participating in this event to the best of their abilities. But we also have our next 8-week challenge coming up at Live Strong starting the 6th of October. And, we're going to start talking about lots of goal setting opportunities and, what it really takes to commit to a goal and, literally what you need to do to achieve a goal and all the ins and outs of that. So perfect opportunity. Moral of the story. I've already started the rambling. So we've all set goals before, whether it's fat loss, building muscle, running a certain distance or, whatever it's going to be. But I'm sure also probably everyone or nearly everyone also knows the feeling of starting strong with a goal, that initial drive you have, but then struggling to follow through with that goal, as time passes or maybe as results slow or, as our motivation starts to die. So over this next 10 minutes or so, guys, I'm going to break it down for us. What commitment really looks like. So what actually it takes for you to be committed to a goal. Why it matters, why you need to be committed and, why you need to make sure that you're doing X, Y, and Z to achieve your goal. And then lastly, how to handle setbacks and, what happens when you really don't achieve your goal and maybe you fail. So we're going to sort of break it up into those 3 little segments. If you are following along on YouTube, you'll be able to see that I've been writing notes. I'm so organized these days, guys, on this podcast. And I don't own a printer. So I can't even type up notes. I physically am I'm at school. I missed some pages in my book. Let's get my actual pages up. But I literally sit down and write the notes. This is probably also why I have no time. Guys, look at all this writing I've been doing. So I've written down what I sort of want to go through. So don't mind if you're watching my YouTube and I'm looking down. Just know I'm giving you guys the information. Let's do it. What does it really take to commit to a goal? This is a very Olivia Blunt way of saying things, but I think 75% of people just don't understand the commitment it really takes to achieve a goal that requires you to make change in your life. Now, nearly any goal you commit requires you to make a change within actions to achieve that. Like if you think about anything that you want to do, it might be, you've got to increase doing this or put time aside to do this or whatever it might mean. And I just think a lot of people don't want to change to commit to a goal. They just think that they'll be able to be like, yep, I'm going to do this, but they don't actually think about what the commitment is necessary for you to get there, okay? And like, to be honest, guys, I just don't think some people care about their goals that much. Like, again, I'm being very blunt and like to the point here, and as always, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But like, I do think that a lot of people, they just don't know what it takes. They think that it's going to be easier than it is. And as soon as it's hard, or as soon as, they realize they don't have a plan or they're not making progress, it's just all over Red Rover. So if you want to commit to achieving a goal, you need to firstly know what your goal actually is. Again, generally what the issue is. People don't actually even know what they're trying to achieve, or they have an idea, but then they have no way of getting to the finish line. Like if you've got no plan of attack for the goal, how are you ever going to get the goal? It's just like it's a dream, essentially. It's a dream. It's not a goal when you don't have a plan. So you've probably heard of the SMART goals concept, where we use the word SMART to break down creating a goal. S being specific, so like actually having a specific goal outcome. M being measurable, so how are you going to measure that you've got there? A being attainable, is it actually going to be attainable for you to achieve? Is it something that you can do? Realistic, is it a realistic time in your life for you to do this? And then timely, how long will it take for you to achieve that goal? Now, if we're talking about like fat loss, in the health and fitness space, a lot of people's goal does seem to be fat loss, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. But they might have a goal that's unrealistic for them. Maybe they've just given birth, let's say. They've given birth in the past 18 months, and they're like, but I want to drop 2 dress sizes. But they're still breastfeeding. They have 2 kids under 2, and, they're already struggling to sort of make it to the gym as it is. But then they want to drop 2 dress sizes. Well, right now, it may not be realistic for that to be your goal to achieve right now in your life. Maybe we can make a more realistic goal for you, which might be, okay, well, we're going to really try and have lunch every day. Like, it might be something that, okay, well, they're not having lunch because they're so busy with the kids and they're missing training. Well, let's make a priority to have your meals done and see how our body reacts to having more fuel. You might then have more energy to get to the gym, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, it's person dependent. But a lot of the time when you think about a goal that you've had, you actually don't have any sort of broken down thought process about it. So the first thing, step 1, is having clarity on what your goal is. The second thing that we need to think about when we're thinking about committing to a goal, guys, is actually being disciplined enough to commence and sustain the action plan that we've created. So we've got the goal, we know what we want to achieve, but then we actually need to commit to the plan to get there, because a lot of people think that initial motivation is going to hang around. We all know how easy it is, like the first week of a cut or something, to be like, yeah, I'm nailing it, I'm ticking all the boxes, blah, blah, blah. But then once we have one little curveball thrown in the mix, or we just lose a little bit of that motivation, it all goes into the bin, right? So we need to remember that motivation comes and goes. No one is motivated all the time. Even people who are like professional athletes, right? Do you think they get up every single day and like, shit, yeah, I'm going to kill this workout today? Or, shit, yeah, I really feel like eating this same meal that I've been having for the past so many weeks of my meal plan, whatever, that my sports dietitian has given me. Like, probably not. But sometimes this is when you need to flex a little bit of discipline, you need to flex a little bit of grit, and you probably need to remember what your goal is and why you want to achieve it, and you need to commit to it. Okay, so remembering that sometimes it's got to be hard, you've got to be disciplined, because motivation is not going to get you to the end line. Now, what it takes to commit a goal is also having that plan that we talked about. And we build that plan by building out habits within it. Okay, so things that we are going to be doing, it's like daily non-negotiables. Because if you're just trying to like grind through, you probably won't get there. But if we build daily like routines, habits that are like helping you get to your goal, again, let's use fat loss. Maybe that means you get up early in the morning and go for a 20-minute walk around the block. We start to create that a habit, it becomes easier, therefore we are getting our steps in it a lot easier. Right? If it's easier, it's easier. So it's going to make it like inevitable for you to be able to tick that goal off for the day because you're already doing that habit. Or like your meal prep. We do your meal prep, that becomes a habit to do our meal prep every Sunday. It's going to make it easier to get to your goal. Because sometimes when the motivation gets low, the willpower gets low, and then if there's no habits or no routine in place, the things just don't get done. So having those habits and systems are only going to assist you in getting there in the end. Little quote for us here, guys. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And I like that because anytime we do challenges or whatnot in the gym, I'm always trying to implement all of those little 1%ers to you guys. Your steps, your water, your sleep, your stress, like your meal prep, whatever. I can't think of all of them right now. But all of those things, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I've had a really shit week this week. But they've been super stressed. They haven't been getting enough sleep. They haven't been drinking enough water because they've been running around like a headless chicken. They didn't have enough time on Sunday to do the meal prep, so they've been eating out, and then they're having shit workouts. And then they're like, oh, well, I'm just having shit workouts. Well, it's all these other parts of your habits that are not going into place. Therefore, yes, it's leading to this outcome. So that's number 3. Have good habits that are going to assist you to get to your goal. And then the last thing is have someone or a group of people to help hold you accountable on your goal as well. So whether that is a coach, someone who's going to guide you and you can sort of, ask questions to and relay back to, or maybe you've got someone doing the goal with you, a friend, a family member, or maybe you're doing it in a gym setting so that everyone's doing it together, but having someone or something that's going to hold you accountable. And I think that's also important to make sure that you're also reaching out to those people for help and almost to vent, to discuss things, because sometimes you feel like you're going through these health and fitness journeys alone when a lot of people go through the exact same issues and exact same struggles that you do, but no one's reaching out for help. Or even with your coach, reaching out to your coach and asking for more assistance or more guidance or things, or expressing that you're losing motivation or you're missing these habits and whatnot. So in a quick summary there of what it takes to commit to a goal, we need to have a clear goal, understand what it is. We need to have discipline and we need to have some grit, remembering that it's not always going to be easy. We need to have some habits and systems in place so that we can inevitably be working towards your goal, even when maybe you're not trying super hard. And we need to have something holding you accountable. That's part 1. Part 2 here, guys. We're going to talk about why commit to a goal. Now, firstly, I want to express, why should you commit to a goal? Well, you don't bloody have to if you don't want to. And I think that going back to I don't think people understand the work that goes into achieving a goal is that if you don't actually want to achieve the goal, then don't bloody commit to it, guys. Like, no one is forcing you to do anything, generally, hopefully. So yeah, if you don't want to commit to a specific goal, or like I was saying before, well, maybe it's not being a realistic time or something for you to do it, just don't do it. It's not the end of the world type of situation. And goals can be put on pause and you can pick them up later on in life. So keep that in mind. But if there's something that you really do want to achieve, a goal you do want to achieve, why should you be committing to it? Like why commit? Why achieve? Why do we want to get these satisfactions in our lives? So without commitment, and I was sort of saying this before, goals stay as dreams. So if we're not going to commit, create an action plan, something that you want to achieve just stays as like that little fairy tale in your head. So there is a difference between wanting to achieve something and committing to achieve something. And wanting to do something requires no action, where committing, demands action. It demands you to take that next step. Now, commitment gives you focus. It gives you that drive. It gives you that push. It gives you that bit of grit that I'm talking about, that bit of I'm going to do what I need to do to get there type of situation. So it allows us to see clearly on, I guess, the road we're driving on and where we're heading if we are committed and we are ticking off the necessary things to get there. Sometimes, again, with it being maybe not a realistic time for you to achieve a goal, we think we're committing to this one thing, but you've also got so many other things happening on in your life. And we've got our fingers in lots of pies, if that's the saying. You're trying to do this, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do this. How can you expect to give all your focus to one thing when you're trying to split your focus? The thought of if you had one cup of water and you're trying to grow 10 plants, you would only be giving them all this little bit of water and they'd take forever to grow and some of them would start to die and stuff. But if you had just one plant you focused on and you gave it that one cup of water, it would start to grow and blossom, right? So think if you have heaps of different goals, they're all your different plants and they're all just going to maybe slowly grow, or maybe they might even die. Dying is failure with the plants, FYI. But you understand the thing there. So why commit to one goal, specifically one goal? It's so you can give you some focus on it. Ba-ba-boom. Now, committing to a goal builds resilience and it builds self-trust. Every time you follow through, you reinforce to yourself, I can do what I say I will, which is such a big trait to hold. Like, there's so many people I know who are like gonna people. Like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Or much like what I was saying up the top, like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And like, I'm sure you can all think of people who you just know are people that are just all talk and they're no action. And who wants to be one of those all talk people? Like, I know I don't. I would like to think that a lot of people would say I'm an action person. If I say something, I'm going to do it. And if I'm not going to do it, there's probably a reason why I'm not going to do it. Like, yes, I've committed to goals before and then I've got to a point I'm like, I just don't think I'm ready to commit to this right now. And therefore, I would shift my focus away from that goal until I'm ready to commit to it. So, I think it's important to be someone who believes in their own word, okay? Then we have the ripple effect. So being someone who is a committed person, a driven person, a person who holds discipline and, like we just said, builds self-trust, that sort of trait or those sorts of traits do ripple into all areas of your life, into work, into your mental health, into your family life. Being someone who can commit to a goal is only going to make you a better person. So it's just a great trait to have, really, isn't it? Like, you want to be a bloody committed person and a person who achieves. No one wants to be a person who just continuously gives up when it gets hard, is it? And then, I just had a big old hiccup there, guys. And then finally, the satisfaction of delayed gratitude. So the satisfaction, like, there's nothing better than achieving a goal. Like, The feeling when you, even like after running my 18 kilometers this weekend, or bloody yesterday it was, like the feeling of achieving something that I never thought I was going to be able to do, a small thing, it wasn't a huge thing, and, just on the low key doing it, but like, shit, you felt good afterwards, and like the I can do it attitude is huge. So commitment is what bridges the gap between the effort and the reward. Like we don't make it there to the end, to that reward zone, without the commitment. So I think all of those really probably explain a person that you want to be. When I read that and when I say that to you guys, all of those traits and all of those reasons why to commit to a goal inspire me to want to do better and do more and do hard things. Where if you're someone who can't seem to push past that first week or so, or, first 20% of on your journey of achieving a goal, maybe we need to sit back and revisit some of these concepts, those ideas of having too many focuses, or sort of talking a big talk but not walking a big walk. Or maybe you've just got unrealistic goals, going back to our SMART goals, or unattainable goals that like physically maybe you're not able to attain, but you're setting yourself these goals, or maybe they're not timely enough. Maybe you're saying, I want to run a marathon in 4 weeks. Well, maybe that's actually not physically possible for you, whatever it is. But there's something we need to talk about if you're struggling to become this person. Last part we're going to talk about, guys, is what happens when you fail. And this is just such a big one because everyone fails. It is inevitable to like quote unquote fail at some point, and failure that isn't like the end of the world. But it honestly happens. Like everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has slip ups. Like everyone has things that also happen that are out of their control. But if you are unable to bounce back from, adversity, essentially, like you're never going to be able to commit to a goal, right? Like, and it doesn't mean that my commitment stops if I have a failure. It just means that I have to maybe make a slight change to the plan, or I need to pick myself up, or something needs to change to be able to move forward. Because, everyone does, miss a session, or, forgets their lunch at work and has to have a meal out, or, loses focus for a bit, or, whatever. Like it happens to the best of us. So it doesn't mean it's the end of the journey when that happens. It doesn't mean you have to quit, but you just have to carry on, pick up where you left off and carry on. So, at the point of failure, we're just calling it failure, but it could be anything. We could just be like a boo-boo, at the point of boo-boo. You really have 2 choices here. Like you're at a crossroad, guys, okay? And you either use it as, I guess, something you learn from, and we adjust and we move forward. Like I was just saying, you pick up and you move on. Or you use it as, I guess, negative self-talk in your head to be like, I can't do it, I can't achieve my goal now, or, I've failed, I suck, and then you just stop and you give up. Like these are your 2 options. And this happens at every time there's an obstacle. And again, sort of referring back to the 8-week challenges we do at the gym, like we really do see this so commonly. Like 90% of people, I'm not joking, probably have found a point where they find this crossroad and they choose that option 2. They choose the negative self-talk, I can't do it, it's too hard, I've already stuffed up, let's give up option. When there's no need to do that. There is no need to give up when time gets hard. Like you just have to keep going. Because it gets hard for everyone, every single person, whether you're like a professional athlete, whatever. Like let's use an Olympic person, for example. let's say this is just Olivia's brain, but like an Olympic diver, and there's actually this American Olympic diver that I follow on Instagram, random, I know. Actually, she does free water diving, when they go out in the free water and dive off the things. And like a few months ago, she slipped off the end of the podium thing, like the when they do like the really, 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 really tall dives. And it was at like a big world event, and she essentially like flopped. But when you do this, it's obviously like so dangerous. So that was a big failure because she was like meant to win this event and blah, blah, blah. So this girl who had never done this before in her life, like never failed like this before in her life, never, almost bloody saw death, had done this before. And she had a few options. People, even professional athlete like her, could have very easily given up, been like, it was a really close call, I can't overcome this, blah, blah, blah. Or you pick up and you move on. And for her, it meant she had to retrain a lot of her diving back from basics for months on end before she was able to, attack those heights again. And I still don't even know if she's done free water yet again, but, to the very, very, very top level people in the world in sport, this happens. You always have those two paths to choose. It's either pick up, carry on, see what I can do, what do I need to make happen, or you stop. They're your two options, okay, guys? So can we reframe failure as feedback? So this is a really great analogy. And again, when you have those two options, if you decide, okay, I'm going to move forward, I'm going to pick up where I left off, it's also maybe where you need to have that feedback from this experience. Like an example I wrote down here was so you've missed 3 sessions in a row, okay, in the gym. Rather than being like, oh, well, I already missed so many of this training block, I'm just not going to show up or whatever, something like that. Maybe you actually need to sit down and look at your training plan and adjust it. Might be like, well, it's unrealistic for me to get there on a Friday. So why do I keep trying to commit to a Friday session when, whatever X, Y, and Z happens on a Friday? Obviously, examples here, guys. So maybe you need to sit down, look at your plan, readjust the plan, and then you are able to move forward. It doesn't mean you have to adjust the goal, essentially, adjusting the plan to get to the goal. Big one, which I've done a whole podcast on, so, obviously passionate, but that all or nothing approach, it's a trap. It's going to ruin your progress. It is going to cause failure. There's nothing you can do all or nothing. You have to have some leeway. You have to have some give. You have to have some flexibility and some grace with yourself. Because one bad meal, one skip workout doesn't ruin your progress. It's sometimes it can be a learning lesson. Sometimes it can be necessary. But again, if you think you're going to be perfect all the time, you are kidding, buddy. Absolutely kidding. And guys, we actually build resilience through setbacks. Like, how good is a bloody comeback story? So I think failure just isn't always a negative thing. It's a learning lesson. You can get through hard times. You're resilient. You're a tough cookie. You don't have to be the person who gives up as soon as things get hard. So yeah, failure isn't even a fail. Failure is just a learning lesson. Quote that. Put that on a t-shirt. So guys, if you think about one goal, maybe you have now, or maybe you've been thinking about for a while, like, I want you to really think about that goal and think about, have you thought about it in that smart way? Like, is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it realistic? Is it timely? Break it down, think about it. And then I want you to think about if you are actually willing to commit to achieve that goal. Actually think about it. Like, are you ready to put in the hard work, make some sacrifices, use some determination, create habits, ask for help, do all these things, pick yourself up when things get hard, because that is what committing to a goal is. It's not being given all the answers. It's not being given a exact written down explanation of how to get there. It's about going through the journey and learning from the journey and changing the journey when it needs to change. But yeah, committing, like achieving a goal is awesome, but committing to a goal is honestly where you grow as a person and where you grow the most. So keep this in mind next time you're making a goal, or if whether you're thinking about starting a goal right now. I think it's perfect time to start thinking about this as we head towards our next 8-week challenge in the gym, because we are going to be setting it up slightly differently this time. All the information is going to be coming out shortly, but we're trying to make it so that you are more specific with the goal that you are trying to achieve, because recently, or not recently, that's the wrong word, like in the past, people will be like, oh, well, I want to lose body fat, I want to gain muscle mass, and I want to get stronger in the gym. And that's them again watering all of these different plants, where we want to be watering one plant and we want to watch that plant grow and flourish and, become the beautiful flower that it's meant to be. And that is you. You are the beautiful flower. Kisses. But I hope that, guys, maybe helped sort of clarify what a goal is, why commit, why failure is okay. I feel like it even sort of motivated me, like talking to you guys about this, to remember that like going through hard times and having to push through when it gets hard is honestly what makes achieving a goal so cool, and it makes it so satisfying as well. But that's the end of the educational portion of this podcast. We're now going to do a bit of a rate and hate, and then I'm out of here, people. Yo! So, rate and hate is a little segment I've been doing at the end of every podcast, where I choose a few little random things. Either people have mentioned to me in the gym, or I put up a poll on the Instagram page, and you guys let me know what you want me to rate or hate, because everyone's asking for my opinions. Just jokes. So the first one today I've got is tracking your macros. So 3, 2, 1, rate. I actually do rate it. I think that it's not for everyone. I think that it's not the be all and end all, but I do personally believe that you just learn a lot about nutrition by understanding what's in your meals. And I think that even if we do have a balanced plate and, we're following like a balanced plate method, I think there's a lot of benefits to that. But I still think a lot of people don't quite understand what is in their meals. Like, people are always just surprised when they're looking at calories and macros of certain food groups and stuff, what's in those foods. And I know personally, I probably have learned the most about nutrition from tracking. Like, obviously a lot of stuff, but like with tracking, I'm now able to really create a balanced meal without too much thought process, because I've already sort of had that practice. So yeah, I don't think it's for everyone, but I do think it's super beneficial for people to learn, a really good tool to learn. The next one is body scans, like in-person body scans. 3, 2, 1, I actually really hate these. Something that we used to do at the gym but haven't done in years. Few reasons that I stopped doing it is that we've had too many circumstances where it's given bizarre results, including myself. I had this one, right? This body scan. I think I got it like maybe 1 month apart. Like, they weren't very far apart. It was like I just started my bodybuilding prep, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do one of these every like 4 weeks or something. Like, no real purpose behind it, but because it doesn't matter what your body fat is when you're standing on stage at a bodybuilding show. But anyway, I wanted to do that. So I was like, yeah, might do that. And I did them 4 weeks apart right at the beginning. And it literally told me I lost like so many, can't remember, but like so many kilos of muscle mass. And physically, whatever it said, physically, my body is unable to excrete muscle mass at that rate for like that period of time. Whatever it was, we sort of like sat down and worked it out, me and Nathan. We're like, it's actually physical, because I was like, oh my God, like my calories must be too low. Like, I'm absolutely just going to be withering away to nothing. Like, it wasn't weight. Like, obviously I'd lost weight, but it was expressing that I'd lost this much muscle mass. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to like be a stick on stage. And then we were like, I honestly need to forget this scan happened, because it could have really mentally thrown me out of whack thinking this, and I could have made changes to my plan, but physically I couldn't have lost that much. Even if I lost some, I couldn't have lost that much in that month. So while still eating and training as well. So that, and then we've had a few funny ones with the gym, and I think they're not super practical for girls. Like, I think your hormones throw it out a bit. Enough that it can throw you out mentally as well. Because I think as soon as you see a bit of an off number, then you're like, I've put in all this work, and now this is what my body fat is. So anyway, moral story, we don't do them because I know people want to know these numbers and stuff. Like, who even cares how much body fat you have? Like, if you're healthy and functional and lean, like, body fat, I don't need to know what percentage of body fat right now I have. Like, I know that I'm not, the leanest in the world, but I know I don't have that much body fat on me, and I'm happy with that, So yeah, that's it on there. I'm really not a fan. Ew. The next one is airplane. 3, 2, 1. I do hate airplanes. I don't hate the actual airplane. I hate flying. It's like my biggest fear, guys. Flying is probably my biggest fear. I always have a mini panic attack. Even if I'm going like 50 minutes to Queensland, I'm like, anyway, it's a bit of an issue. But yeah, I hate them, but I go on them because I love holidays. But yeah, just know I'm not the best flyer. I'm not enjoying one single minute. The takeoff, the flying, the landing, nothing. Oh, no, am I going to America at the end of the year? If you have any flying tips for me, send them my way. The next one, tomatoes. Random one. 3, 2, 1. Right. I love tomatoes. Tomato with salt and pepper on it. I could just eat that by itself. Yummy. And then the last one is MCO Beauty. 3, 2, 1. Also rate. MCO Beauty is like a rip-off of Charlotte Tilbury makeup. So it's like drugstore makeup. If you don't know, you probably know. Never had any issues with it. Big rate. I don't mind a bit of a knockoff if it's going to save me a few pennies, to be honest. Obviously within reason. But yeah, a few good things like actually, it's not all Charlotte Tilbury. That's just the foundation that I use, the Flawless Filter or Repop. It's all different brands, because then I use like the Drunken Elephant drops, the MCO Beauty ones. They're really good, the bronzing drops. But yeah, I've got a few things, that and the foundation I use. And then there's something else I have. I can't remember. Something else I have, the MCO Beauty, that I really like. But yeah, those two things, big slay. Anyway, guys, we've made it to the end of another episode talking about goals. Hopefully you've learnt something. If you haven't, well, too bad. You've just listened to me for half an hour for no reason. Anyway, we've got the Live Strong Games on Saturday. Be there or be square. Whether you're doing it, you're supporting, you're coming to help judge, whatever it is, it's going to be a fun morning. And then I'm going to do a recap episode next week. So listen in, and I'm going to talk about all the ins and outs of all the planning that went into it and where my vision came for it. And yeah, big slay. Have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.